Hello, welcome back to the Your Everyday Strength podcast. My name is Josh Sternberg, and if you're just joining us here for the first time today, thank you very much for being here. If you are returning, also thank you for being here. Thank you for tolerating me. Today, we have a wonderful guest with us, the lovely Temika Hill. As always, I'm going to hand it over to her in a second. She's going to let us know who she is, what she does, a little bit about herself, some fun facts that she can share with the class, and we're going to go from there. So, Temika, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. So funny. I was like, my first fun fact before even telling them what I do. I'm like, do I just tell them the fun fact of I talk to dead people?
Whatever your fun fact you want to share with the class is. I think that just sets off the tone straight away. Sick.
No, guys, for reference, I am a psychic medium. I am based in the Gold Coast, originally from beautiful Melbourne. My work is really specialised in talking to people about grief, life and death, psychic abilities, and really bridging the gap between education and grief that's, not really known in this world, something that we kind of lack, unfortunately. So my big vision is to actually teach people about grief and help them navigate that. However, by doing that and being a medium requires me to talk to beautiful past over loved ones. That's fun fact number one. God, what other fun facts do I have? How can I beat that one?
I like this.
That one's
I don't
good.
know. Just spit some. I can share a fun fact about how this came about.
Oh, do it.
Because I think this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Now, for everybody who's listening at home, you all know I am a pretty, woo-woo kind of guy. And a few weeks ago, so Temika and myself, we probably had each other on Instagram for, I don't know, like 6 months or so.
Yeah, I'd say that.
I feel like maybe we found each other through Trav Cochrane or somewhere around there, like through working with him. And I obviously was living on the Gold Coast, and I don't know if we ever actually ran into each other, but we were around the same areas a fair bit from what I would see on Instagram all the time. And a few weeks back, Temika puts up a story and she's talking about herself and her friend are going to do, one of those rejection challenges where they go around and basically just talk to people and ask things and put themselves out there to essentially, you get 100 no's, but then you'll get a yes. And for some reason, I watched that story and in my head, the first thing that I had pop up was, oh, she's going to message me about the podcast. And then it was probably a week or maybe 10 days or so later, and she started to keep popping up a fair bit more, and then vice versa. And then I opened up Instagram one day, sure enough, there's a message. And I was like, she's just like, oh, hey, this sounds really strange, but I have this like weird inclination that I had to message you. And I don't know why, but here I am. Got to listen to my intuition. And I was like, well, perfect, because I'd already knew that you were going to message me about coming onto the podcast. And I was so certain in that fact that I was already going to ask Temika to come on the podcast, but I knew that I didn't have to message her. And that it would just come about as it needed to.
Yeah.
So people can do with that what they like. But I mean, you can share it from your perspective. Like, what was it that actually pushed you to message me?
This is the thing. It was the most random thing. And this is what's so fun about being intuitive and like tapped into this stuff. I remember because you kept coming up in my awareness too. And I was like, this is weird. But then I was also like, it's not weird. And I was laying outside tanning.
Perfect.
And I go, I feel like I need to message Josh, but I have no fucking clue why. And literally, I said to you, this doesn't make any sense. I'm literally just messaging. I don't know what this is about. Like, I'm like, this is so fucking weird. And I'm like, just trust the nudge. Like, you got to go with it. And then instantaneously, we were just like, bang, 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 like so quickly. And I was like, isn't it so interesting? Like the connection of you felt it, I felt it, and then like it just binged together.
It's always a really, I don't know, it's less scary or weird now because for me, I've gotten to a point where I'm very fucking intuitive.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I've seen too many circumstances and instances where I'm like, something downloads in my brain or I feel something and I'm like, cool, that's happening. And then sure enough, it does.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, cool. Like it's at the point now where it's not weird. It's just like, yeah, sweet. That's exactly what was meant to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just, yeah, it was so interesting. But like for people listening at home, I know, and I think we've spoken about this briefly ourselves. Intuition is something that is, I believe, a little bit misconceived by people.
Interesting.
Sometimes they get, a lot of people that I interpret or hear people talk about intuition is they talk about it. It's like, oh, it's this constant thing that I'm thinking, almost stress-like.
Mm-mm.
When in actuality it's not. So I really want you to talk about your ideology around intuition and everything from that realm.
Yeah. So it's so interesting how you just spoke about, that consistent thought process, and it's like running. It's that constant like drive, almost the overthinking, however you want to label it. The way to decipher if it's intuition or fear is purely based on how your body's feeling. So when it's intuitive, this is my belief, is you will feel grounded, you will feel calm. It's not that chaotic energy. It's quite like neutral is the best way to word it, I feel. Like you feel very neutral, right? And the thought may come up once or twice. However, it's not doing this circulation of like consistently running through your mind like you do when you overthink, right? When you're overthinking, it's just like chaos, absolute chaos. So when people go, how do I know if it's fear or if it's intuition? I always say, how does your body feel? And how did it land? Was it very direct? Or are you getting this like simple urge of repeating thoughts around it? Because if it's that, it's fear. You'll get that almost like that heart palpitation and that racing feeling in your chest or your body. You might feel tense. That's how you decipher if it's fear and intuition. And I think what's really important for people to know is like when it comes to intuition, there is going to be moments where it's edgy. Like you're going to be like, oh, that's a bit of an edge, right? It's not always sunshine and rainbows, guys. Sometimes it's really fucking edgy. So
sometimes it's weird and you're like, what the fuck?
My message to you doesn't make sense. This is weird. I'm trusting it. And I think it's important to remember that your intuition will push you into places that feel edgy and that feel scary, but you will still feel grounded and safe within your body. You'll just get like that, that's a bit scary, but it's not that fear-based response that you'll get when you are in that overthinking and anxious state. Like I think that's how I decipher it anyway, because I think it's like the feeling in your body is the key to knowing.
Correct. Yeah, that's honestly, that's exactly how I've kind of learnt to try and segregate it myself is, okay, well, how do I actually feel when that happens? Or is this something that's consistently running through my head? Is this almost a rumination?
Yeah.
Is it causing me stress? Am I worried about it? Am I feeling, people say like, oh, you feel butterflies in your stomach and things like that. And I'm like, that's probably not actually what you want to feel. You want to feel calm. You want to feel centered. You want to feel almost safe within yourself.
Yeah.
And as you said, like sometimes it can be something that can be a little bit, ooh, that's weird. Or I've never had that thought before. But once you start to actually listen to that little urge more often, I believe it's a skill that can be developed. And the more we listen to it, the better it gets. And the better we're actually able to identify between, okay, is this an intuitive download, or is this just my brain is causing fucking mayhem here and it wants to see some shit burn down.
Yeah.
That's
that's a good
that's just, yeah, that's just how I've started to decipher it, is just, okay, sometimes I'll sit with it or I'll write it out and I'll be like, okay, where does this land with me?
Yeah.
And that's probably been the biggest thing that's helped me.
It comes back to self-trust as well. Like that, it's such a big self-trust piece. Like if you don't trust yourself, then you are going to create these overthinking thoughts. But the minute, it's like you said, it's like you learn to build this tool, right? And the more you practice it, and it could go from just even, I always use this analogy of like you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you get I'm going to turn left instead of right today. Doesn't make sense, but I'm going to do it. That is your intuition talking to you. And then if you start to follow even those tiny little nudges, you'll start to build that self-trust. And then it creates this beautiful flow of, okay, intuition will lead me here and then here. And it's like, doesn't make sense, but you're going to trust it because it always will lead you somewhere that is for your highest good, whether you see that at the time or not, can be dependable. However,
Yeah.
it does lead us.
Yeah, that's definitely, that was one of the, I guess, hardest aspects of it for me. Was I have had a tendency in the past to almost override my intuition by trying to use logic or use my brain or use my heart. And I'm
Yeah.
like, then I've seen it play out negatively. And all of a sudden it comes back, as you said, to that self-trust, the little bit of self-belief. You're kind of like, I've kind of abandoned myself here for the sake of trying to apply logic to something that doesn't necessarily have logic needed.
Yeah.
And then once you do, and I know at the start, for anybody who's like explored it, felt it, etc., it's something that you can't explain. It is exactly that. The first time I ever heard intuition explained was by Abraham Hicks. I'm sure you probably
Amazing.
know that. Yeah. And she was basically explaining it. For anybody who doesn't know Abraham Hicks, it's hard to explain to people who don't understand it. It's a collective of spirits all culminating through one person. And Esther Hicks is the actual individual herself, but Esther and Jerry Hicks, and then Abraham Hicks is the, I would say, persona, for lack of a better term. But she basically explained it as, you'll sit there on a bench and you might get an urge to go sit on another bench. And you don't know why, but you might go and sit on another bench, and then all of a sudden something happens. And you might not see it in that instance. Sometimes it's not instantaneous. It can be just something entirely different. It could take forever. But the way she was explaining it was essentially, you could be sitting on a bench, something inside of you says, I need to go and sit on that bench. You go and sit on that bench. Next thing you know, someone walks by, sits down next to you, you have a conversation, and there's now a connection built with somebody that you would never have met because you were sitting on a different bench, and that connection leads to something else that you won't even understand in that moment in time. But it's just that like little butterfly effect aspect.
Literally.
And as soon as I started to listen to it from that perspective, I was like, okay, cool. That's something I'm sure we've all identified at some point. We get that little weird gut, and you're like, okay, I don't know why, but I need to do this. And it can be fearful sometimes, depending upon what the situation is.
Yeah.
But when you lean into it more and more, as you said, like, you're always guided by the highest good. And everything always works out exactly as it's meant to, even when you can't understand it in that moment. I know this is something we were talking about before we started today. Once you start to put the pieces together and look almost in hindsight, you're like, okay, sweet. And the more you do that, the more you're then likely to lean into it in the future. It just becomes that cascade effect.
Yeah, and you stop thinking about like the hows and the whys and how will I make this work and what's the reason. You actually just zoom out and go, okay. It's almost like you just go, all right, sure, intuition, I'm putting it all in your basket, and you just like blah blah, blah. Like you just go on your own little adventure. Like quite literally, intuition's like holding your hand, and you're just like, okay, like honestly, and it just becomes so normal for me, especially because I'm just like random things happen. And I'm like, sure, all right, move with it. And it always leads me into such a beautiful place. Can be
Exactly.
challenging at times. And I might go through a lesson or, learn a certain thing, but there's always a benefit and a highest good that comes from that. And it's like, it's literally just having that self-trust that your intuition is actually just the way I see, and Esther says this, Abraham Hicks, it's your inner compass.
Mm,
in a guidance system. Like, it literally is a guidance system for you. And so many people miss out on it because they don't want to trust it or they overthink it.
correct. Yeah. It's similar to, I'm a big fan of Neville Goddard and all of his
Mhm.
work. And although he actually very rarely says the words intuition, he doesn't really talk about intuition as much.
No.
He just discusses, the living in the end and always showing up basically today as the person you want to be tomorrow, and just having blind faith that as soon as you create that vision for yourself, it's done. Well, it is done. For those who don't know, that's actually what's tattooed on my knuckles.
Oh, it
Um,
is.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah, I got that. Yeah, it was one of those things. I was like reading, listening to a bunch of his work, and I was like, I want to get this tattooed.
Off
I
I
had a
go.
voucher sitting. I had a voucher sitting in the cupboard. It perfectly fit on my knuckles. I was trying to figure out for 2 years what I was going to get on my knuckles. And I was like, well, there it is. Perfect. Done. And I had a weird vision in my head of like, it just, yeah, this photo of me with my knuckles saying it is done. And there it was when I got it done. So it's funny. It's such an interesting topic,
It is.
but I don't want to brush over the intro, the fun fact, the first fun fact. I feel like people have started like listening and then they're like, hang on a second, you guys have brushed
I
over
just
this a
hooked
little
it
bit.
in.
And that's the hook for today. Welcome. Thank you for being here. No, but I do want to dive into what you do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Firstly, my biggest question I have surrounding it is, how did you actually work this out? How did it come about? Because I know there's quite a mixed crowd who listen to my podcast, and most of the people who listen definitely have an aspect of, they have spirituality tendencies. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people actually underestimate how many things we do in a day-to-day basis that if we were to classify it would actually be classed under, spirituality. But they always think of the woo-woo sort of bit wild aspect more so.
Yeah.
But how is this something you discovered you can do?
It's a really interesting journey. So I actually discovered it quite young. So dad passed when I was 9 years old. And when he passed, I could talk to him. And at this time, I just thought it was normal. I just thought, oh, yeah, he's my dad. Of course I can talk to him. Like, I saw him sitting at the end of my bed. I saw him like in the streets, in my dreams, lots of like vivid visual things. And we used to talk all the time after he passed and still do to this day. However, I just kind of navigated life thinking that was really normal and didn't really think it was a gift and didn't really do much with it. So I think only my mum knew that I could speak to him, and she's quite spiritual herself. So she didn't go, well, that's weird. She was like, yeah, cool, no worries. Like, it's normal. I was like, okay, cool. And so I went through my whole teenage years and basically had this gift locked away, so to speak. It didn't really come into fruition until I was 26, 27. And
Mm.
it's like I kind of hid it away because I was like, I was fearful of being teased about it or fearful it was unnormal. And, I did kind of get comments through my primary school and high school years of being like spiritual and woo-woo, so to speak. And I was like, okay, let's lock that in the closet.
Mm.
And then, yeah, it was 2020 and COVID in Melbourne and initiated into some really deep, dark times and faced myself in all layers and hired a beautiful psychic mentor. And she basically said to me, you're psychic. And I was like, yeah, like, yep. And came up to the Gold Coast and did a psychic kind of event. She gave us cards and we practiced on all different people. And yeah, it was like it all then flooded back to me and it came online and I was all of a sudden being psychic and talking to people who have passed over. So, like psychic, and then there's mediumship. They're separate from one another. So, psychic is like seeing the past, present, and future, basically, how I see it. And mediumship is connecting to past over loved ones and channeling them and bringing them through. And yeah, I just remember like the psychic stuff kind of initiated first. And then as I opened that up more and became more available to it, mediumship just popped in. Like I had a friend pass over, um, and he came to me and he was talking to me and he was trying to cross over to the other side and he was finding it challenging to kind of navigate. And I helped him cross over. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm a medium.
That's hectic.
Yeah. And then I was just like, oh. And then from that moment, like where I kind of had the big realization of like, oh wow, I can really do this. That was it. It just took off from there.
Do you think it was something that, I mean, you said you started speaking to your dad at 9,
Yeah.
and then you may have had people make comments throughout your teenage years, and as kids, kids can be cruel,
Mm.
mean.
Hmm.
Do you think you just suppressed it,
Yeah.
but it was always just sitting there ready to go? Like, had there been times throughout that journey as well where you were still kind of in tune with it a little bit, but kind of just kept trying to push it to the side, almost be like, I'm not good. Almost the intuition chat we were having before. Oh, I'm not going to listen to that.
Yeah. So it's so interesting because I literally feel like I was born into this. My sole contract is to help people with grief. And it's interesting because when I lost dad, I knew how to navigate that so easily, even though I was 9, and help others through it. And then, yeah, it's like I suppressed it. But then even in my high school years, I lost like 15 plus people, like from death.
Fuck.
Yeah, like a
Holy
lot.
shit.
Yeah. And it was really interesting when I look back at it now, I realize how easily I could help people through grief and how well I could hold every funeral. I just remember helping someone. I remember I would check in on every single person that was navigating grief. If I knew the same person that passed away, I was just like, how do I help everyone else? Like it was like instantaneous, like nature for me to do it.
Mm.
And I feel like that was, again, kind of my journey of holding mediumship. And I probably did talk to people that passed over at that time, but wasn't fully consciously aware of it. And it was like,
Do you,
keeps coming back into my world. Yeah.
with that, obviously, do you think that there was potentially part of it that because you'd had to navigate such a traumatic experience so young yourself, that you identified that it was easier for you to show up for others? Were you still able to show up for yourself, or did you feel that this was part of the process of showing up for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. I showed up for everyone else. And I held a strong front of holding everyone else, like, especially in those kind of high school years. And what I used to say is I used to closet grieve. So I would be like really strong and hold everything together for everyone else. And then I'd go home and like cry in the shower or cry in my room and wouldn't let anyone see me.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
it something that over the time you've been able to better handle, better deal
Yeah.
with?
Yeah. Yeah. I hit a certain point in my journey that I suppressed a lot of my grief. And it made me quite numb. So I got to like my mid-20s and all of a sudden it's like I hit a wall of emotion. Like I couldn't feel anything. Like I was just numb. Nothing. I had
Mm.
nothing. And I was like, from a girl that felt everything to a girl that feels nothing, I was like, there is something going on here. And I remember I was like, I've got to go see a psychologist because this is before I knew all about the personal development world and the beautiful things we know about now. And I went and saw a psychologist and he said to me, you haven't actually grieved any of the grief you've gone through. And I was like, what?
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. He's like, you need to go and grieve your dad, grieve the people you've lost, because you've held it in for too long that you've just numbed out.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's so many people in that regards who can relate when they kind of put it's a coping mechanism of,
Mm.
okay, well, I'm not okay, but how can I make everyone else okay? Then that suppresses my need to be okay. And I won't deal with that. And then what you don't realize is the body keeps score. And
Mhm.
you definitely deal with it. Fuck, you'll deal with it eventually. Don't you worry about that.
Yep. Your body will
With
tell, like my body, that was my body's signal of telling me. That was it. Like as soon as I
yeah,
could feel anything, like from a space of, feeling everything so deeply to nothing, I was like, and my actual body itself felt numb. Like I couldn't feel any emotion. Yeah.
was there ever a time throughout that journey, like going to see the psychologist and things like that, where you started to think more about like maybe the mediumship psychic side of things, or you were still just trying to look at it from the like, I'm not okay. I need to go to a psychologist because psychologists are meant to help with this aspect of things.
Yeah, I
Did
was
the psychologist actually help?
he actually did. Yes, funny enough, he actually really did. I was still in the logic. I hadn't really opened up the spiritual realm at this point, so this was before I kind of reopened that. Um,
Mm.
However, I feel like it kind of initiated me into the awakening, the spiritual awakening, so to speak. However, yeah, he actually did help. He recommended me to go do a couple of things and actually just sit with my feelings and feel them. And that itself helped. And something he said to me was, talk to people about your grief and let them hold you, because that's what I struggled with. Because I was like, no, I'll hold everyone else. Like that's my job. But if someone tried to hold me, I was like, nope, like that can't be done. And I remember him saying
Mm.
to me, talk to someone and let them hold you. And I was like, what? Yeah.
It's it's hard. It is hard to let people hold you, to be there, to almost let your guard down, especially if you were someone who'd had to keep your guard up for so long, from such a young age.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like with grief as well, I feel like a lot of people struggle to receive support because they're like, they don't think they can be supported. Or, you know, for me, I was like, this is too heavy for someone else to hold. That
Mm.
was my little belief back then of like, no, but this is too much. Like, they don't need to hold that. Like, I should just hold it all. And I think that's where I've learned so well on my journey is like, it's actually so important to be held when you're grieving and to talk about it and to feel it, because you will get to this point that I got to of feeling absolutely nothing. And like you said, your body will keep score and it will absolutely tell you.
How do you manage it now? Now that this is your full-time job, this is your business, you are dealing with people, multiple people a day
Yeah.
who are grieving, some of them are probably going through the toughest times of their life. How do you hold that space, but still hold space for yourself at the same time?
Yeah. It's like my little baby now. Like I'm so grateful for all the things I personally experienced to be able to get me to where I am, because it's helped me learn the tools within myself to help others with it. And the biggest thing for me is just feeling it. And I know that sounds so cliche. However, like allowing yourself to actually feel the feelings of grief will allow you to process it a lot easier. Like it is complex to go through, right? There's so many different layers of grief. It's so multifaceted. But when we look at it and zoom out, it's just love. Grief is just love. And
Mm.
if you love someone, you're going to grieve them, right? It's just part of the beautiful process we go through. But with that, it's feeling it. Like if I'm grieving, I will just feel it. Like I'll just let it come up. And sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's an hour. However, it's just a letting it come up rather than going, no, not right now, not right now, pushing it back down. Because what I recognize is it moves through the body, and then you kind of go, okay, I feel good. I can move to the next step. The thing is with grief, it's a forever journey. It doesn't end.
Uh,
So it's learning how to be comfortable with it.
when you say it doesn't end,
Yeah.
because some people might hear that and go, "Oh, well, fuck, everyone on Instagram's lied to me. I'm never going to get over this." Whether that is losing a loved one who's passed over to the other side or a relationship. Because I think a lot of the times, and this is something that I've learnt when going through relationship breakdowns and things like that, is you are essentially still grieving a person despite the fact that that person might still be alive.
You are grieving
And
that
that's something,
person.
yeah, and that's something a lot of people, they don't allow themselves to feel or think about. They're like, oh, well, this person's gone, but they're actually right there. I see them at the shop sometimes, and well, actually, I ran into them the other day, and it's, but that you know, there's, you see poems and people talk about, oh, I saw a stranger today, but I know everything about them. And that process of actually not grieving
Yeah.
as if you have lost someone.
This is a
How
thing,
would, yeah.
because people do think that like grief is just someone passing over. However, it can be the past version of you that you've moved through, or the relationship,
Mm,
the future that you guys had planned together, the version of you that was in that relationship. Like there is layers of where you can experience grief, right? Friendships, jobs, anything. Like it's everywhere. And the thing is, with grief, it ebbs and flows, and your death and breakups and, these changes in our life is inevitable. Like we cannot avoid them, unfortunately. We are going to all die eventually, and people we love will as well. And I think what's really beautiful is becoming okay with that, to value life more as well, and recognizing that when we do experience it, seeing it for what it is and actually allowing it to move through the body and recognizing it's there. And it's almost sometimes having conversation and being like, okay, this is grief. I can feel this. Like, kind of bringing that awareness, because sometimes we just go, well, what is this feeling? Because there's
mm,
so many layers, like the grief, we have anger, we have bargaining, we have shock or like denial. There's there's like
mm,
the acceptance of it. It's like this, right? However, what's really beautiful is like I still grieve my dad. It's been, oh my, like beyond, what am I? Where are we? Like 20 something years. Can't quick math. It's been a long time and I still grieve him. Like 3 days ago, I was on the ground grieving him. Like
mm,
the tool is that I can recognize it's there and just feel it. And then I go, okay. And then I can move forward rather than getting stuck in trying to avoid it and trying to be like, no, I don't want to feel this. It's just going to catch up to me in like a week's time, a month's time, somewhere down the line. It's just recognizing it's there and ebbing and flowing with it when it comes up and down, because you're forever going to miss a person that's passed. You might not always miss someone that you've been in a relationship with. That might change. That could
yeah, depending
change.
upon how the relationship went.
That could change.
Even on that though, I still believe, and this is very, it could potentially be circumstantial, but I still believe that there will always be certain aspects, whether they might be very, very small or they could be incredibly large, that if you've shared an experience or a journey or time, space with someone, you will always miss aspects of that. And a lot of people will try and deny that. And if we use if we use, an example of someone who was in a toxic relationship,
Mm.
and you hear it all the time, people who have been in abusive relationships and things like that. And from the outset, it's really easy for people to turn around and go, oh, well, just leave. That person's not good for you. But you'll hear people use examples of, oh, that they might be XYZ here, but there's this small glimmer where they're actually quite sweet, or they've done this. And they kind of hold on to that And I think that coming to terms with both can be true,
Yeah.
and accepting that for what it is, and starting to accept that, like, we will always go through a lot of things. If there's one thing I've learned, we'll never be handed anything we can't actually deal with. And that was that was almost a really peaceful realization for me, was I will only ever be given that with which I can carry.
Yeah.
But it's in the thick of it, it doesn't make it easier sometimes.
No.
It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the, yeah, one of the things you mentioned with relation to, and this is something I don't think a lot of people put a lot of thought into either, is grieving past versions of yourself. I honestly believe that that's probably one of the most brushed over aspects of any form of grieving, whether it is a relationship, someone passing, etc., or a job, or a life, or a career, whatever it is. People don't actually identify that sometimes they're actually grieving themselves,
Yeah.
and they get scared, they get confused, they get angry because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
What's your sort of take on that aspect of things?
I remember when I moved from Melbourne to the GC, and I changed my whole entire life when I left there and came here. Like, it wasn't just something small. Like, I quit my corporate job, packed up my house that I was in within 3 weeks, and then I was in the Gold Coast and I was running a business, and I had my whole life just went and flipped itself in the most beautiful way. But I remember getting here and I was so happy yet so confused and, like, almost in this, like, emptiness when I got here, because I was like, "Whoa." Like, I was in Melbourne my whole life, and all of a sudden I was like, "Wait a minute, who am I?" Like, I felt like I left my whole entire Melbourne persona there. Like, it was just like, "Okay,
Mm,
cool," and jumped into this new version of me, and I remember getting here and I was so happy, like, I was so excited and so, so grateful to be here. And in the same sense, I was like, "Who actually am I now?" And I did go through this kind of grieving period of like, I don't know who I am and I don't know who I was. I'm just floating in the middle between two. And it was when I reflected on it, I was like, oh, wow, I'm actually grieving the person who's lived there and created this whole entire life and who I am from being in this place to then leaving it and grieving everything I created there and also all the people. It was
mm,
big. It was so big.
yeah. I resonate with that.
Yeah. I was like,
Having just done the move in the other direction,
yeah.
that was yeah, it was, as we spoke about before we started, it was one of those things that I never knew why I was here at the exact time that I got here. I never knew why it all worked the way it did. I just knew there was some reason I had to be in Melbourne. But then when I moved here, I was really excited. I was excited. It's a new adventure. I was stoked. It was exactly what I knew I needed to be doing. But there
Mm.
was still just something internal to me that I was like, but who am I now? Because I knew who Josh was on the Gold Coast. I knew who this version of myself was. And it's not as if I'm a different person. I'm actually still the same person. If anything, this has allowed me to expand into the next iteration of who I was meant to be. But it's coming to terms with that aspect of, well, I'm not Gold Coast Josh anymore. I'm Melbourne Josh. And although they're technically the same person, there's still some distinct differences.
Yep.
And it's such a weird people don't, you see it all the time, or I've heard of the example of people will try and escape a situation, but they don't realize that what they're actually trying to escape is themselves. And they go and put themselves, they might take themselves to another city entirely. And all of a sudden they still have the same problems, the
Yeah.
same issues, and the same things keep arising because they haven't actually sat within themselves to see, okay, well, what is it that I'm actually searching for? And then they have to go through that whole process.
Yep.
the unraveling.
Yeah. And they're like, why is this still happening? I've moved places. I've started fresh. Why am I still doing
Yeah.
the same shit?
Yeah. And they're like, hang on a second. Well, the environment's different. The people around me are different. The house is different. Everything's different except me. But they can't come to the realization that that's actually the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad like I went through my personal development journey and like my spiritual awakening all before I moved here. So like I was like, okay, cool, I'm solid. I'm not running from anything. Like I was like, this is clear. Like I always knew that Melbourne wasn't home. And when I got here, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this makes sense. Still experienced some lessons, don't get me wrong, but it was like it wasn't that escapism that you're talking about. It was like, no, this is real. And you probably feel the same thing about being in Melbourne now. You're like, no, this is real.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It was. Yeah, it wouldn't have been possible to have handled it the way I did without also having done the work on myself that I had done to lead into it. And I think that everything, well, I know, I don't even think anymore. I know that everything that I had done leading up to it happened exactly as it needed to.
Yeah.
From even little things like the time with which I started working with Trav. And that was actually one of those like intuitive moments that just, I was driving to Miami one morning and I'd done a podcast with Trav, we'd spoken heaps. I had done a tech talk with him, and I was like, yeah, I'll work with him, but I don't know when. And then one random Saturday morning, I was driving to the beach with Sammy, and I pulled up, and you probably know, there's no reception at Miami for some reason. On the beachfront, I get no reception, but I had to message him and say, when are we starting?
Shout
And I
out to
didn't
Trav.
know why. Yeah, shout out to Trav. He knows this because I remember sending him a voice message. It was almost very similar to your message you sent me. I was like, hey man, I don't know why the time is right now, but there's something that says I have to start with you like tomorrow. And we did.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And then since then, I know for a fact that like a lot of the skills and everything like that we worked through with him helped me to work through and process the move and everything that's happened as a culmination from the start of the back end of last year, start of this year.
Again, divinely timed.
Yeah, exactly. And divine timing is something that a lot of people, sometimes they don't want to even acknowledge it. They just kind of like brush over. And I get it from the sense that sometimes it can be a little bit hard to be like, okay, there's powers that be that are stronger than I know, that are guiding me along this journey. And I'm actually not in control as much as I like to think I am.
Yeah.
I kind of just facilitate whatever's happening along the journey. Yep. But just like actually being able to be like, okay, cool, sweet. And I think if people actually took a reflection on where they are in their lives, they would probably see it a lot clearer.
Yeah.
Just the little things that all add up.
And I think we forget to reflect. Like, it's so interesting when we're talking about like the experience before and you like my brain starts reflecting of all the things that got me to a certain point, and it's like that divinely timed stuff, even if it was fucking challenging. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, all these beautiful things happen to us to create who we are, basically, in some form.
I mean, you touched on it before. Not all of it's fun. It's not all rainbow sunshines and a great time to deal with it. Trust, it's
Sometimes
be
you'll
great
be,
if it was.
you'll be
Sometimes
shaking.
you're like, oh,
Yeah.
when does it end?
Yeah. There is moments like that. Yep.
How do you navigate moments like that still?
Oh, honestly, I still have moments where I'm like, what the is going on? And something that I really learned along that journey when I'm like, the big ones where I'm like, what is happening is surrendering is a big one. Like, I'm like, if I'm really in the thick of things and I'm like, why is this happening? How do I fix this? Or, I'm trying to outsource fixing it. I'm like, why don't you just actually surrender and just let things be for a little bit? Don't let it sit there. But it's like, just sometimes I'm just going to take a step back and surrender and be like, okay, shit's playing out right now. It might be a little bit chaotic. It's okay. Like, I literally had one of those last week. And I was like, fuck, all these great things in my life were happening. And at the same time, I was like crashing the fuck out. But I was holding the
Yeah.
duality of like, my life is so amazing and what is happening in my life. And it's part of the human experience. Like, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. There is going to be moments where you drop to your knees. I did that last week and my whole entire world cracked open. But then I zoomed out and went, okay, I trust that this is for a purpose. Now we're like 4 days down the track and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is amazing. And I feel so much better. It's actually just moving through it and just knowing that this is part of life. Like, we're not perfect and life is not going to be perfect. But if you show up as your best self, the best outcome will come.
Correct.
Yeah.
Control what you can control.
Mm-hmm.
It's the theme of my life at the moment, and the discussion around duality
Mm.
is incredibly prevalent at the moment for me. Now, I haven't spoken a lot about it, especially online. By the time this podcast comes out, I probably very well might. Unfortunately, at the moment, my dad's going through quite a lot of health stuff. And I am both trying to manage the feelings surrounding that and the immense fear and being fully honest, being a scared little boy that he's going to lose his dad. But also seeing my life is really fucking good at the moment. And I'm having amazing experiences and I'm having an amazing time and business is going well and the podcast is fucking booming and my training's going great and all these other aspects of my life are just flourishing. And then on the other hand, I have one of the scariest moments that I've ever experienced happening. And it's been so hard to actually sit with because I almost get angry and annoyed at myself for feeling happy. And then I'm like, well, no, my dad wouldn't want me to do that. He would want all of this to be happening. He wants me to succeed. He wants all of these things. He doesn't want me to not have these things because of what he's dealing with currently. And if all I can do is just show up for him in the best of my capacity and continue to show up for myself, which will then allow me to continue to show up for him, then that is quite literally all I can control.
Yep.
It's fucking hard though. It's very hard.
Yeah. Yeah. You see
It's
this
not
with
an easy thing to do.
no. And you see this with grief as well. It's like people can feel bad or guilty when they're experiencing grief and then they're happy. Like they're like, oh no, I should be grieving. It's like you can hold the duality of having both, right? Same with you right now. It's like you're holding a duality of both. And it's the same thing of like, yeah, when people, I get it quite often, they're like, I feel bad for being happy when I should be grieving. And I'm like, that person wants you to be happy. They're not sitting there going, I want them to be sadder. I want them to be grieving more. Like,
They smiled too many times
yeah,
today.
how fucking dare they? It's like they want you to live your life and continue on. Now, I'm not going to say that you shouldn't be grieving, but it's like you can hold the duality of being happy and grieving at the same time. Life and death, these things can coexist together. It's like the beautiful example of what you're experiencing right now. You're having such a beautiful, flourishing life, and then you're holding the duality of your beautiful dad. It's like, and carrying the coexistence of them both can be really challenging, but it's like, you can do it. That's the thing. We don't have to do one or the other. We can actually hold two at the same time.
Yeah, it's something I have accepted that I can do, and just I know that it's just, again, it comes back to like actually having done so much work on myself
Yeah.
to remove remove aspects of the guilt, there's still parts of time where I have felt guilty, and I'm like, you know, Saturday, for example, I spent all day at the hospital with my dad. We watched the footy. We had a wonderful time. The Hawks got up, fucking up the boys. And then I went to a concert. Wednesday, we found out some really terrible information. But that night I was going to a concert, and my mate who I went with is like, "Oh, do you really need to be here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Because I can tell you right now that if I spoke to my dad, he would say, go to the fucking concert, have a great time, enjoy yourself, be safe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow morning."
Yeah.
And it's almost that being, you know, concerts for me, I love live music. I've been to 3 concerts in the last 2 weeks. I fucking love live music. It's one of my favorite things in this world. And I've worked out over time that it's actually the co-regulation of a space filled with so much joy because people are just so fucking happy to be there.
I love that.
It takes, I know for a fact that there's been times where I've gone to concerts or festivals or whatever, and the collective energy of everyone is so upbeat despite whatever they might be handling at that point in time,
Yeah.
because they're all there because of a love of music. And I'm like, okay, this is why I love music so much. This is why I love concerts so much, because it's just no matter what you're going with. And Saturday, after leaving the hospital and spending it all day with dad, standing in the middle of a crowd by myself with 15,000 people around me, singing and dancing and fucking cheering and all of it, I couldn't help but sit there and just like take it in and just be like, this is beautiful. Like, this is an amazing experience that I'm able to have. And that's okay.
Yeah. It's more than okay.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm sure you deal with it all the time. As you said, people having to figure out a way to deal with that duality and trying to actually like almost allow themselves the space to grieve and be happy and deal with it the way they need to deal with it.
Yeah. And everybody deals with it so differently as well. I think that's really important for people to recognize is the way that someone else grieves may be so different to you. Like, I know the way I grieve is very different to most people. Like, and it's how you feel is best, but it's remembering that you can have the duality of both. Like, I think it's so important because people can get stuck in a bit of a loop of like, I'm grieving, I have to be grieving, and I have to be in this dark place when it's so far from true. So far from true.
Absolutely. I it's funny you mention that because it's something I've definitely noticed in the past
Mm.
that I've almost intentionally, through certain circumstances, situations, etc., I've almost intentionally tried to make myself sad because that's what I feel like I should be feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a terrible time. I should be feeling X. So now I'm going to align everything within my brain and my actions and everything that I'm doing to feel that way.
Hmm.
It's the human mind is so weird.
Yeah. Yep.
We build ourselves up, we bring ourselves down.
Yep.
We don't want ourselves to be happy, but we also really want to be happy.
Yep.
It's fucking. I wish it made sense. To anybody listening to this, you're not alone. If this is how you feel at times, you're not. Trust me. It's fucking weird.
It's the human experience. This is
Yeah,
what it's
the human
like.
experience is
It's
strange. It is
it
that
is really
roller
strange.
coaster. It is that wave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's learning how to deal with everything and nothing.
Yep.
It's trying to control whilst also just, as you said, surrendering and trusting.
Yeah. Knowing you are everything and
And that's,
nothing all at the same time.
mm, yeah. Yeah. When I've been reading, I've been heavily into philosophy over
Mm.
the last probably 6 to 9 months. And it's really interesting because a lot of people would think about philosophy, stoicism, etc., is very disconnected from spirituality and that aspect of things. But
Yeah.
at the core essence of it all, when you truly look at the messages with which they're teaching, it's actually all one and the same. And one of the things that's helped me, and one of the things that's helped me over my journey my entire time, is realizing that I know everything and I know nothing. And the more I learn, the more I realize I know nothing.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard for people to wrap their heads around.
Yeah. If we're not
It's,
if we're not growing, we're dying.
yeah, staying stagnant. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
People who stop learning, stop doing, stop experiencing, that's when they start to become sick, or they become all of these different things, and they don't realize that it's a direct reflection of the environment that they're putting themselves in.
Yeah.
Not handling emotions, not regulating, not dealing with stress, not
Yeah.
allowing themselves to feel what they need to feel.
Yeah. And then it all just builds up in the body. And I think that like the emotions part is so important to talk about because it's like these things do store in your body and it will create
Mm.
physical symptoms because you're not listening or you're not feeling, or same as stress, right? It will create physical symptoms in your body because your body is what will actually communicate with you because it doesn't have the overthinking thoughts of the beautiful logical mind. It will just be like, here it is, have a look at this. But people don't recognize that it does come from emotion or it does come from stress or, it comes from grief. It comes from so many different elements. Once you know that, there's no turning back.
It's a can of worms.
It's such a can of worms. You're like, sore knee? What the fuck does this mean? What am I doing? Where am I not moving?
Mm,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I want you, like, with that aspect of things, give anybody listening a little bit of a rundown of potentially something you would say to someone who may have come to you, or they're dealing with something similar at the moment, to actually be able to initiate starting the process.
Yeah.
Oh,
In terms of like grief or just in general? Is it frozen?
I was about to say, I think it just froze a little bit. In terms of,
It did.
let's go with grief, because that's obviously your specialty. That's where you flourish.
No, flourish. What a thing, hey? Flourishing and grief. It's such a weird little world I live in. But I think
Talk about duality.
I know. Grief is interesting because it does impact our body so much. Like if it's not felt and if it's stored, it'll make itself really loud. And the areas for people to recognize this, if they are listening and they have experienced grief and they feel like they haven't maybe moved through it, it tends to sit in our heart and in our lungs. So if people are having issues, there's another place it sits in the body. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but these are the two kind of main situations. So if you're starting to have issues in these spaces and you reflect on your journey and think, have I experienced grief and have I not felt it? I can guarantee you this is where it's sitting. I have a lot of people come to me, and I've had a few clients that have had maybe it's heart stuff going on or, stuff sitting in their stomach. And I instantaneously can feel their grief sitting there. And I'm like, have you actually felt this grief? And you can see in their face straight away, they'll go, no. I said, okay, well, it's taking up space in your body because it's sitting there. You need to clear that. Like, and,
Mm.
and, and by clearing it, it's by feeling it. Yeah.
It all just comes back to actually sitting with and feeling your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to feel them.
Yeah.
Because that can be really hard for people. And I had a podcast guest on yesterday, and we were essentially discussing how if we're taught, especially as children, we're taught from a young age, some people are, some people aren't. I'm very fortunate that I wasn't one of these people, but some people are taught, okay, well, if you're a guy, you're not allowed to cry.
Yeah.
If you're a man, you're not allowed to show emotion. You're not allowed to feel things. You have to be tough. You need to do this. You X, Y, Z, and they carry that with them forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wonder why their life has turned out the way it has when they've essentially suppressed their emotions their entire life.
Yeah.
And instead of allowing themselves, if they start to get sad or they get upset or they feel disheartened by something, that's when it comes out as frustration or anger or resentment or all
Yeah.
of these things that are perceived to be really negative emotions, but half the time are actually stemming from just really soft places.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not easy.
Nope.
It's hard to teach people to undo years of learned experience.
Yeah. But the thing is, it can definitely be done. Like I was the same.
Mm.
I was so against grieving, like not against it, but I was like, I can't feel this. I can't feel it. And now it's like one of the easiest, not like I'm not going to say it's easy to feel the actual emotion, but it's easy to see it come up and go, okay, I need to feel this, or I get to feel this. But it took me practice and being safe with it. Like it's like, but to do that, it's being able to teach myself to feel safe with feeling the emotions and also being safe with other people seeing me and me talking about it and me feeling it. However, you can't change that unless you change it. The only person that can change that is you, with help, of course. It's like you have to teach the safety in yourself to rewire those beautiful past events for you.
How would you best suggest people actually feel safe enough to do so?
Mm. Something that helped me is practicing it in like small increments, like allowing it to like even just feel it like a little bit and going, okay, if that's too, like if it got too much, I'd be like, okay, I'll take a break or like pull myself out of it. Might not have been the best thing at the time. However, it taught me over time to become safer with it. And the more I taught myself, the more capacity I had for it. And like it's stretched. And if for someone, if they haven't felt their emotions before, if you feel all of them at once, it's going to feel pretty chaotic.
Mm.
So it's like if you teach yourself small micro moments of being like, okay, I feel a little bit of sadness, maybe you'll cry for 5 minutes, or maybe you'll just have a feeling of sadness and you can sit with it and go, acknowledge it, feel it, and then maybe you just move on. And then it's like teaching yourself over time and regulating yourself as well. I think the regulation part is important too, because having that regulation is going to help you support yourself. And I think people miss out
Mm.
as again, they might be dysregulated and then it just feels like it's too much and then it just like pops the lid off.
Yeah, they go from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, that didn't work for me. Feeling my emotions didn't work. It's
Done
like,
that,
brother,
yeah.
you've just felt 20 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
you felt 20 years of emotions in one instant. Of course it didn't work.
Yeah. It's like it's practice it's like everything, practicing it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that acknowledgement. As you said, like talking to a lot of people, and I'm sure you deal with this a lot of people very hesitant to discuss grief. They shy away from it.
Yeah.
They think it's a really negative thing, when in actuality, I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think grief should be felt about the same way as happiness, or people discuss just being sad or happy or joyful or all of these other spectrum of emotions that we have.
Yeah.
Grief is just another one of those.
Correct. Exactly
It
how I
just
see
has
it.
a little bit more of a negative connotation from the way in which we interpret it, because it is a loss. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's quite a severe loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I agree with that a lot. And I think the thing that people can struggle with is like the lack of education around it because a lot of people don't know what they're experiencing it because they don't know what it is.
Mm. You hear of grief counselors, like specific, just grief counselors. Do you think that would actually just be better? Like there'd probably need less need for grief counselors if people were just taught what grieving was from a very young age,
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
it is actually a spectrum.
Yep. Mhm.
Mm,
'Cause if you think about it,
funny.
it's so even like it I'm gonna focus on Australia mainly. It's really taboo here when someone passes over, no one has any idea what to do. They're just like, "Fuck, what do we do?" There's no like, if you think about the different cultures, they have beautiful things that they do after someone passes, like, they might have rituals or, things that they actually do to help them navigate the grief. But when we get
Mm,
into, like, the Western culture, we just go into shock, and then there's no like, kind of guidance after that. We just kind of fuck around and figure it out.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I've never even thought about it. I've never thought about it that way,
Yeah.
because there really is so many different cultures and the way in which they actually do deal with it. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Australia, we just seem to, all right, are they getting burned or put in a box?
Yeah. When's the funeral?
See you later. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I feel like if there was something that helped people navigate through that, it would be moved through in a better pace. And it's like, I think it would allow people to sit with it and actually feel it. But because they go into that shock and then they're just like, okay, well, what happens now? They kind of skip it because they're like, there's nothing that,
Mm,
like, I know in New Zealand, in different cultures, like, they go and put the beautiful passed over loved one in the ground and like stay with them overnight and have a full ritual. And I've spoken to people from there and they're like, it really does help because you get to move through that process kind of as it happens rather than like getting to the funeral or feeling it and then just kind of getting on with life. It's like you get to actually process it.
mm. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We're a very multicultural country, but we're also very lacking in a lot of cultural aspects, I think.
Yeah. I agree.
And that's really interesting. I've genuinely never thought about it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've always thought that some of the processes that I've seen some cultures go through, I'm like, wow, how do they do that? That's hard. Or, when you're younger, you're like, that's a little bit weird. They stay with the body in the house for a week and just have almost a party. Like,
Yeah.
that's strange.
Yeah.
But I guess from that perspective, they're truly actually accepting it and moving through that.
Yeah, and it's, like, in real time too, because it's, like, I feel like that would then they're grieving, and also what's really beautiful and how I see it is, like, they're grieving, but also connecting.
Mm,
Like, they've got that support.
yeah, that connection aspect is so underrated
Mhm.
in all aspects of our life. I've had this conversation with quite a few people lately about the power of connection and why, as human beings, we are actually drawn to connect. And people will try and shy away from it. And I know I've gone through phases where I'll almost put myself in a cocoon. Like, oh, I don't like people. I don't really need to spend time around them or near them or anything. And then you're kind of like, okay, well, why do I feel shit?
Yep.
Why do I get no joy from this experience?
Why am I
Why am I
feeling
not
stuff?
feeling the way I should? Yeah, why
Yeah.
am I actually feeling worse? It's like when I was going through a really tough time at the start of the year, I was, I take myself to the beach. It's my thing. I'd go to the beach when I'm struggling. It's just my happy place. It's sit by the water. And it wasn't until I was doing that for a little bit of time and I really sat with the reason, the deeper meaning as to like, okay, well, what is it about the beach besides, it's fresh air, water? And I realized that it was actually having other people around me. And although they weren't directly around me, again, it's almost similar to the concert piece where everybody at the beach is happy. They're really happy to be at the beach. There's kids playing in the water and they're building sandcastles, and you got dads and mums playing with their kids and they're running up and down the beach, and there's dogs playing, and it's actually collectively a really beautiful space. And I was like, okay, well, I actually love the beach, but I wouldn't just go and sit by a lake by myself.
Yeah.
I'd bring myself to the beach where there's other people that are going to be there. And there might not be many, but there's still other people that are there. It's just something that I've like started to really process is like, okay, well, when I feel shit, I actually want to surround myself with others, although I'm not directly saying I want to be around other people.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it was a weird sort of process that I've started to dive into myself. And then when I put it together and I realized why I'm still why I go to concerts by myself regularly. I don't care about going to a concert by myself because I'll just gladly stand in the middle of a random group of people and just vibe out.
It's actually really fun.
I love it.
You just go
I
into
think
your
it's
own little
sick.
world. You're like, okay, cool. It's like I do that with the movies. I love going to the movies by myself, and it's like I'm in a little bubble of like people, but not actually. It's like this little
Mm,
different reality. It's the same. Like I feel like it's the same. You like go into this different reality of all these beautiful people having fun, like you said, and being such a high consciousness. It's like you kind of tune out from the outside world.
yeah. It makes your problems a little bit smaller for that moment in time.
Yep,
That's so
absolutely.
funny. I'm sure there's so many people out there who are maybe listening to this who are like, oh, fuck, I actually do similar without realizing.
Yeah. Welcome, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yep.
With you've spoken about it a couple times. You've touched on it with relation to like your spiritual awakening.
Mm.
Do you mind diving a little bit more into that for people who may not even understand what that means?
Yeah. It's such an interesting experience. COVID for me was like, here you go, Merry Christmas. And I think everyone can navigate it really differently and can come up for different people. And I think a lot of people are going to awaken in the next couple of months with the world kind of doing what it's doing. I see a lot of
Mm,
more people, there will be a big awakening from this. Everyone's journey is different. You'll navigate it. You might go into the depths. Like for me, I went into a really dark place, but it was necessary. The dark place almost allowed me to sit with everything that I potentially had avoided for so long and, face the real true shadows of myself and the versions of me that, yeah, I would have locked away. And for me, it started with like that kind of darkness. And then I started to see signs of like spiritual numbers and all these feathers and the little obvious things that the universe tends to dangle in your face because they're so obvious that your logical mind goes, wait a minute, this is weird. Like, but because it's so obvious and your logical brain can go, oh, it's not like unseen stuff that can happen behind closed doors. Little things like that will start to come into your awareness. And for me, it was like everything that used to feel so aligned no longer did. Like the things I used to
mm,
do, the conversations I used to have, the people I'd hang out with, all those things started to shift. And I went, oh, something's happening here. And you might get that, urge to dive into spirituality or meditate more, or you'll notice these little inklings of different experiences coming into your awareness. And you think, this is different. Why is this happening? Now, everyone can be different. Everyone can be initiated in different ways. But it will be these little like micro moments that kind of lead you down a bigger path is how I see it. Like for me, it was the angel numbers and the feathers. I was like, why does this keep happening? Why is there a feather at my front door every fucking day? Like different colors. And I'd sit on Google and be like, why is this happening? And eventually it just led me down a path. And here I am, how many years later, 6 years later, doing all the things I'm doing. But it's like everyone's journey will be different. It's the openness to it that will lead you into different places and, zooming out and having a different perspective of something you may have been seeing in a different light for so long. Like maybe you've never been open to spirituality. But
mm.
something I always say to people is every person's version of spirituality is going to be different.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It's something that I've always been a very spiritual person since I was young. I'm very fortunate. Similar to yourself, my mother was quite spiritual. So I grew up with, she had tarot cards and angels everywhere. She's got massive angel wings tattooed on her back. Her whole back is angel wings. And so we grew up with like being surrounded by that. And I was always very that way inclined to a degree without ever diving deep into it. And I always found that whenever I was going through a tough time, I would find myself back practicing spiritual practices. I was always paying, maybe more attention to angel numbers or signs and synchronicities or meditating or breath work or things that were allowing me to actually sit within my body and become calmer and clearer. And then as soon as I'd feel good, I'd be like, sweet, I don't need to do any of this anymore. I'm off on my journey. And then something would happen and I'd unravel and I'd be like, fuck, here we go again, back to this again. And then it wasn't until the end of 2024 where I really went in on it. And I was like, man, if I keep doing something that feels good, why don't I keep doing that when I feel good? And maybe I can feel better.
Yeah.
And then truthfully, like that was, so the start of 2025 was probably where for me, I went all in and accepted it. I also stopped fearing the judgment of telling people about aspects of it too. I think that was a big thing for me, especially being, mid-20 male, 6'2", 120 kilos, covered in tattoos with a beard, powerlifting. You tell people, oh, I'm actually like real spiritual. I get down with the woo-woo. They're like, what the fuck? And even now, still people, like when I talk to them and I bring up certain topics and things like that, they're just like, huh, I wouldn't have picked that. And I'm like, okay, I understand your definition of spirituality, and woo-woo might be the dude in a park charging his crystals, dancing and singing and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay because that's their interpretation. That's what they want to do. But that's actually not the true essence of what it is. And you don't have to be that way to be spiritual.
Nope. So I always say to people,
it's actually just, it's the
like,
essence of who we are.
Yeah. Embracing it however you want. Like, it doesn't have to be this version that society has kind of put of it being like a hippie or, someone that sits in the park and meditates for 4 hours. And if they do that, that is okay. But it's actually just the embodiment of how you show up through that realm or, how you feel it. It's actually just you.
Yeah, that's genuinely like, that's probably one of the best ways I've heard someone explain it. It is just you.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think once you come to terms with it more as well, that it is just you, and you allow yourself to lean into it, whatever that might be for you. As you said, it can look so different for every single person, whether you are the person in the park or whether you're whoever. You don't all have to do the same, as long as you're experiencing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Learning yourself.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to learn themselves better.
Yep.
But it can be scary. Like, having to sit with yourself. And I spoke about this on a podcast last year. That was sort of the catalyst to me launching this podcast, and it was discussing around people really struggle to be lonely or alone because they're scared to be with their own thoughts.
Yeah.
They're scared to actually sit and just sit and let whatever will come.
Yeah. And it's like one of the most important tools you'll ever experience, because when you get to sit with yourself, you can sit with everything else.
You can't hide from yourself.
Nope.
You can try. Doesn't work.
Yeah. It'll come knocking eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. Trav at one point was talking to me and he said something. He's like, man, I just want you to, this afternoon, once we get off this call, he goes, just turn your chair around and sit and stare at that wall. And I was like, nah, brother. I was like, there's no way. I'm just sitting around in my office, turn around facing the wall. And I did it. And I sat there for about half an hour and I was like, holy fuck. That felt great.
It's all it takes. Hey, it's like, I actually get annoyed when I don't have time to do that. Like when I'm like consistently back to back, I'm like, Temika, you need to sit and just sit in nothingness and experience your thoughts, your feelings, whatever comes through. And when I sometimes miss that, I'm like, what's going on?
Why do
What's
I
been
feel a bit
happening?
lopsided today?
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
discombobulated. Like you
Mm.
learn how to do it and it becomes so easy and it actually becomes a tool that you want to do because you're like, okay, you learn like what's in alignment, what you want to do, what you value, what you don't value, how you show up when you're regulated, dysregulated, the list goes on.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's funny. Everything we've sort of talked about and discussed, it all genuinely just comes back to people learning to be comfortable enough with themselves
Yeah.
to allow themselves whatever they need to allow.
Mm-hmm.
Their emotions, their thoughts, their feelings, and don't get me wrong, I get it. It can be scary, especially if you have to confront things you may not love about yourself.
Yeah.
But I've also learned that once you start to push through that and you can accept yourself for who you are, and if you are, if there's aspects of yourself that you aren't a big fan of, you can, by being able to sit with them, you're then able to actively make a role in changing them.
Yeah. Otherwise they just sit there and they'll keep playing out and things will keep happening. But when you actually
Mm.
get to sit with it and see it in light and recognize it's there and see it with love and give yourself the beautiful love that you need in those moments, everything will shift.
It's that compassion for yourself.
Mm,
Everybody's very quick to say, we obviously want to show love and compassion to other people. And, the analogy of, would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself?
yeah.
It's like, nah, most people wouldn't.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't have a best friend if they did.
Yeah.
And it's actually sitting with that and understanding, okay, we need to talk to ourselves nicer, for one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think this is why people get so lost in it too sometimes as well, though, is because it's a weird process to start. It's odd.
It is really odd.
We're so taught nowadays and with hustle culture and all the rest of it that everything
Mm,
has to be go, go, go. If you work a 9 to 5, you have to then work 5 to 8 for yourself, and you have to do this and you have to do this and you have to train all these times a week and do all this other shit, and just almost as if, okay, cool, you got 10 minutes, jump on TikTok. Here you go. Here's 50 fucking videos about whatever.
Yep.
Instead of sitting.
Yep. I know. It's crazy. It's like even when people say like they get on their phone straight away the first thing in the morning, I'm like, sit with yourself for 10 minutes. Meditate for 10
Uh,
minutes. You're constantly outsourcing your energy. The minute you pick up your phone, energy outsourced by, and you haven't even given any energy to yourself. The most important thing that you have is you. And you've gone, my phone and my outsourcing is way more important than giving myself 20 minutes.
mm.
That makes such
Yeah,
a
that was a
difference.
big, massive, massive difference. That was the biggest shift I noticed for myself probably about 12 months ago. Was I used to be horrendous for that. I'd have my phone in my hand right up until the second I went to sleep. As soon as I woke up, straight on my phone again. And now I'm like, nah, my phone will stay on sleep mode until I've finished my morning walk and I've come home.
Yeah.
And then it stays on sleep mode while I do my meditation. And then I don't really turn it back on until I am sitting down at my desk to start my day.
Makes a huge difference.
Oh, huge, massive difference. Your mind is so much clearer
Yeah.
because you're not being inundated by everything else that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a choice about what we see on social media. I think that's a big thing a lot of people misunderstand is what we're shown every day. And don't get me wrong, my Reels page is fucking hectic sometimes. Like we don't have a choice sometimes with what we're shown, and you can see everything and like this. Maybe this might just be my fucking explore page. I don't know, but it's everything from like things to do with the cartel all the way to like dogs getting adopted to then someone having the best day of their life, someone having the worst. It's like
Yeah.
it's so dysregulated,
Yep.
and you've done all that before you've even got out of bed.
Yep. It's the same with like the news. People watch the news first thing, and I'm like, why? Just don't watch it at
I don't
all.
even.
Do not
No,
watch
I
it.
don't watch the news anymore.
No.
I unfollowed every news channel I ever followed.
Yeah.
I blocked all the news channels off of Instagram. Not a
I
fan.
haven't watched the news for like 10, like, couldn't even tell you. I reckon it's been 10 years. Like,
Good.
because
I
it's
think we'd have a lot less problems if we
dysregulation.
didn't.
Yep.
If less people watch the news, we'd have less problems in this world.
Uh-huh. Because they want you to feel the fear. That's the
Yeah.
point. Imagine if you didn't watch it and
Mm.
didn't feel the fear.
I mean, you guys would have, you dealt with that so much through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It was like as a nightly reckoning. Oh, what do the powers that be say we're allowed to do tomorrow?
5K, 5Ks. You can go 5Ks within your house, guys. Am I in
See, I
fucking
felt for you
prison?
guys so much down here. I felt for you guys so much.
Yeah.
That was hard. Like we were in Queensland, we copped it, but I think we had like 3 weeks was our longest. And then it was like every now and again they would just randomly be like, oh yeah, you're going back into lockdown from Friday through to Monday, but it's Tuesday, and I'm like, bro, what is it? Just kick it off tonight, end it Friday, let us have our weekend.
Yeah.
You
It was
guys, yeah,
honestly, like, there were some perks. Like, I remember being in corporate, and I hope it'd be so funny if you caught any of my jobs, listen to any of my podcasts one day, but I remember being in corporate and I fucking hated it. And we got to work from home, and I was like, this is the best thing ever, because I would work a couple of hours and then just clean my house and go sit in the sun or something, like, then work a little bit more. That was a big blessing. That was a big blessing for COVID. There was a few
mm,
things that were great that came from it. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, it was like we were in actual prison.
yeah, it did seem that way. See, I
Yeah.
loved it. I was working from home. I just started uni, so I was just doing my study, doing my
And
work. The gym I worked at gave us equipment, so I was training people out of my house. I was making more money than I'd made in fucking
crazy.
ages because I had no gym rent or anything like that. When I bought my dream car, I was having the greatest time.
So many people did flourish though. Like, things, and this is what happens. We go on a crash, people either crash with it or they'll grow in it. Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah, that was a big thing, was just, I think it was one of those things again, like even without even logically thinking about it at the time, it was just like, okay, well, I can't actually do anything about this right now. What can control?
Yeah.
Well, sweet. I can actually do all of this stuff. I'm going to keep my mind busy. I'm going to keep my body busy, and I'm taken care of.
Yeah. It's that simple.
I like that. I like that. What's next for you? What's your plans with business?
My plans for business. There is some really big things that I want to do. My main thing is I really want to get on stage and travel around everywhere. Australia is my main niche at the moment. If you did her day with the medium is,
David, I've heard of him. I think I've seen Instagram videos or something.
yeah. So he's a really good medium in Australia, and he does really good shows. He does it in a really comedic way. I love it. He makes it really funny. The way I want to move forward is I want to get on stages and do mediumship and do shows similar to him. However, also then initiate people into learning about grief or teaching them about grief on the stage. Like a big thing for me is educating people on grief so they can experience it in a better way, because I think that's a big gap in Australia. Like we do not have the tools and resources that we should for that kind of thing. So I want to get up on stage and do mediumship and then also, yeah, teach people that, because they coexist. Like when you're
Mm.
helping people through mediumship, it's actually helping them with the grief because they get to talk to that person that's passed over, and it can kind of create that acceptance and that closure for them. So they coexist. So my big vision is to get on stages and do exactly that, to make bigger impact and help more people with it, because I think it's really required.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's not you want to, you will do.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There we go. Terminology.
Thank you.
It matters. Language matters. No, that's
Yeah.
fine. I try and correct. It sounds weird when you say, "Oh, I'm going to correct you" when people say these things, but I'm like, no, no, no. Like, it's not I want to or I'm thinking about it. It's like you will do it.
Yeah.
And having such a special gift that you are actually able to share with people that helps so many people is something that like needs to be shared. It
Yeah.
needs more of needs more of that, needs more eyes on it, needs more understanding, needs more people to actually show up with a little bit more of an open mind. Or if
Yeah.
they show up without an open mind, leaving with an open mind.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a thing that can change people's lives. Like, not even just from me, just in general. Like, it is such a big piece that can help people with their navigation through losing someone or even losing themselves. Like, it can really help. And it's really beautiful talk to have.
Mm, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Everything is, except for Facebook. I laugh at this every time I say this. Facebook is just my name. I don't know if people still use Facebook. They might.
I only use it to check my memories, to see what I posted at like 15 and 16 and shit. I'm like, what was I doing 12 months ago?
They pop up and I'm like, oh my God.
I love them. I love them because I was a little rat.
Yeah, I was like out partying and stuff. And I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my Facebook is just Temika Hill, and then everything else is Temika the Medium, all one word. So my website, my Instagram, TikTok, they are all Temika the Medium, one word. So if they want to find me, that is where you go. And if you use Facebook, not just for memories, it's just my name.
I'll put all of that in the show notes as well, though. So you'll be able to find it very easily. Easy to find online.
Thank
Everyone's
you.
easy to find online nowadays.
They really are. It's a bit scary.
It's so weird. It is a little bit. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you 3 questions.
Oh, okay.
And these are the same 3. Are you strapped in? You ready? Trivia's ready
I
to
was
go.
like, okay, yep.
I like that. You got up. You're ready. All right. So the same 3 questions I ask every single person.
Yeah.
If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Oh, that was really interesting. I just channeled that. Your darkest days will create your lightest ones.
Oofed.
Mm. Thanks, channel.
I love that.
Yeah,
I really like that.
same. I think I'm going to write it down.
Yeah, please, by all means. You can have that quote. We'll even throw it in the show notes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really, really like that.
Thank you.
And it truly is exactly how it is.
Yeah.
Question 2. Yeah, great work.
Thanks.
Question 2.
Yeah.
What's your favorite animal?
What's my favorite animal?
Yeah.
God, I love them all so much. This is a really hard one. I'm such an animal girly. I'm going to have to go. It's a lion. Like, it really is a lion. Like, I want to go to Africa and literally go over there and hug one. Like, it's I have this
I don't
delusion.
know about hugging them.
No, this is the thing. I will pick up anything. I've got a pet snake, and I'm just like, I have no fear of any animal. And I have this ridiculous delusion that I could go up to a lion and hug it and it would be fine.
You just have to be like in a really big space of coherence. So the
Honest,
lion knows that your heart rate's not going anywhere.
no, but my heart will be so calm because I'll just be like, it knows that I'm good energy and I can hug it and it'll be sweet. I reckon I'm going to do it one day. I am going to do it
Do
one
it.
day.
Yeah, sick. Do it. Fuck, you see those videos all the time of people who like live with lions and like
Literally.
grow up around them and stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
cool.
Lions and also eagles. I have an eagle on my necklace and they're a big like spiritual reflection for me. So I've always said when I pass over, I'm coming back as an eagle. So I would go lion and eagle. They're probably together, to be honest, but I love them all.
That's good. I like that. There's a lot
Yeah.
of thought in that. I like that that's the hardest question to answer so far.
Honestly.
The third question, which you might be able to answer this one way easier, is what does strength mean to you?
Oh. Interesting. It's like strength means to me holding yourself through every moment that you can.
I like that.
Mm.
I think that's a good representation of what strength is.
Yeah.
That's my favorite question to ask. I love that question because everybody's interpretation is just so different.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just interesting to learn different perspectives.
They're good
I like it.
questions.
Thanks. Thought of them myself. I threw the animal one in there because I was like, well, I don't want to go heavy. I was like,
I love it.
need to have a little bit of a fun one in there in the middle of it. And I was like, this works.
I feel
And
like
then the strength one was the big one.
Yeah, I feel like asking people about the animal too would show a lot about their actual personality and who they are.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big thing I've learned is that oftentimes, people will say that the standard are dogs because they're cute or whatever sometimes. And then other times there's been people who like really put a lot of thought into it. And then they'll just say an animal. And I'm like, okay, that's so random. And they'll like give a bit of an explanation as to why. And I'm like, okay, cool. I love that. Like that is such a good that is such a good rationale.
Yeah. It's a good question. They're all good questions.
Thanks.
You're so welcome.
Hopefully everyone at home likes them as well. If you're listening to this and you've already listened to plenty of other episodes, you would have fucking heard it before. So I love that.
It's family, guys.
But honestly, I can't thank you enough for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been lovely. It's been awesome. It's been good chatting. I know everybody listening to this, hopefully if you're listening to this and you've been a little bit more, let's say, hesitant towards spirituality or that realm of things, hopefully this has actually shed a little bit more of a light on it as to what it can be perceived as and what it actually is. Because I did an episode way back when I first started this podcast. It was called Spirituality Without the Woo. And it was my interpretation of what I felt it to be. And over the time, I've like had guests who I've wanted to talk about it with, and I've not really dove into it as deep as I have today with you. So
I love that.
It's good. I think it's going to offer a lot to a lot of people.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
But no worries. For everybody listening at home, thank you very much for your time today. As I said, I'll put all of Temika's details in the show notes for you, and you'll be able to find her, go along, follow. You'll get to see her snakes, one snake or
Just
plural?
one. Just one.
Okay, I was going to say I saw one snake yesterday and I was like, interesting. Yeah, I was like, that's cool. I actually like snakes. They're kind of cool.
They're amazing.
But again, thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate all of your time, and I'll catch you on the next one.